the shootings that they always cover on the news.
Real, that's a not a
They don't move, we will make the way. Let it spray, right reality like an AKA. Let them know we don't play. They live like life's a party, but it's really like a breakaway. Meditate, focus your attention on your better days. You know what I'm talking about. Don't let these slimy narcissists, the antichrist out there turn you out. Freedom of speech is actuality. That's why the truth must spread by word of mouth, word of mouth. It's all according to the code. Damn Illuminati with my mind, body, and my soul. That's why they snatching bodies, everybody in the Holly Grove. Deception is a hobby, switching roles with the auto clone. Let me turn on my auto hoax. Not even a proven fact. The floor curves into a spinning ball, and you can test for that.
globe is an auto hoax.
Man, you must be trolling me. Scientific theories aren't what they are shown to be.
Yup, that's an auto hoax.
So what you're saying is you don't accept the claim that's missing proof, then you label it.
Exactly, it's an auto hoax.
Wow, sports is scripted by the...
Alright, we are live here, 8/28/2024. A few minutes late, but I've been working here in the office on a number of things. Multitasking, but things are coming together nicely. And as I pointed out in the latest newsletter, the Insider is scheduled for a September the 1st launch. And it's going to be available as a download, an online document, but I'm also going to be making it available in hard copies for those who want to distribute and for purchase on a print-on-demand basis. But primarily, the main focus here is getting the digital out first. Getting hard copies is kind of secondary, but I think it'll be very easy to make that happen. So I'm going to open up phones right away. We have lots to talk about, as always. We've been talking about the rage virus, symbolized by the monkeypox, and there are some developments in that direction. By the way, you can use the phone number for leaving voicemails. So if you want to leave a voicemail for on-air play, you can call in at 505-510-4226. And that is open 24/7. So if you have facts to drop, recommendations, even criticisms, I don't censor. Okay, so let's go through. I have a bunch of browsers open. So we must have had some in-depth conversations. That's right, we had Jurassic Liars call in after we were discussing the actor from Escape from New York who played the president, and he was also in Newsbenders. Newsbenders, sort of like 2001: A Space Odyssey, is proving to be something of a very significant, key piece of evidence if you want to make the case that we are living in a Metascript enhanced reality, that history is being written in advance. Yeah, we can pretty much demonstrate it. And that movie, or that play, Newsbenders, it's meant to be satire, but it's absolutely not. Our world stage reality seems like it's satire at times, and it's because it is. Joined by Flozik, Linda Curtis, 3 Up, 3 Down, Thirst for Truth, Breadcrumbs, and Ted Stryker. Well, hopefully you got the last newsletter, those of you who are interested in contributing to the Insider. I know this first issue is going to be mostly me, and a couple of people have submitted articles, but I am going to include, for example, the interview I did with Woo's News. I'll be transcribing a large part of it and providing a link to download it in its entirety as an MP3. So I'm going to have a lot of perspectives in here. It's not just mine. However, a lot of the articles will likely be drawn from the blog posts we've done on the subject of auto-hoaxology. I mean, in truth, this isn't really a newspaper in the sense that we're trying to be topical or current. It's not about the current thing. We're not platforming a red pill propaganda. What we're doing here is what we do when we're live. We're talking about the world stage as a model and pointing out its flaws. That's what our real purpose here is. And deconstructing guardrails is part of that. We're talking about lies that have become orthodoxies among those who are supposed to be alternative thinkers. We're setting them free. And the burning penguin is just one possibility. I haven't decided on the cover, But I'm thinking the burning penguin, or at least the head burning, the hot skull concept is what I'm really referring to here. Hot skulls, which is what we have. It describes this idea of a fever in the mind, and they've correlated it with the mind virus. And in the movie, or the TV series Hot Skulls, it was about a verbally communicated mind virus that would drive people crazy. In other words, non-state sanctioned conspiracy theories. AngstG says, in addition to airing Project X the other night, the next day they aired Outbreak, where a monkey was the vector for infection. So a little background for anyone who doesn't know where we're coming from. We were talking about all the various instances of the monkey god and how this is concerted messaging. 90-foot tall monkey god statue. 10 million people playing the monkey god character in a video game concurrently. You have the WHO declaring the monkeypox virus a global emergency on 8/14, and on 8/14 the Vince Vaughn series drops, and it's called Bad Monkey, which I've been watching, and I haven't detected anything yet, predictive programming wise, but the timing of it is what we're referring to here. And we've connected the bad monkey, the monkey virus, to the rage virus in 28 Days Later, authored by the director of Civil War, which is a movie about MAGA versus the government, and Kamala Harris kills Trump. Sorry, spoiler alerts. And you don't even have to really read behind the lines. It's just ham-fisted. It's hardly a movie. But my point is that the monkeypox is just a metaphor for the mind virus that's going to infect the right wing and cause them to rage against the system, likely as a result of the election. And so, as we're talking about this, I had suggested that for more than a year now, that X, formerly known as Twitter, is going to be the source for Disease X, which the WHO said is going to be the big one. The WHO, and this is my prediction based on their programming, 1 year ago they said that, or a couple of years ago, they said that we have this placeholder name, Disease X, for the big one, that we are not ready for. Well, I suggested that Disease X would be the source of the mind viruses, specifically from the right wing, domestic terrorism, etc., that would be likely connected to Russia or something. But the whole Turner Diaries fantasy comes true thanks to X, and the public, the commons of the internet, will need to be shut down, and the public will say this is necessary. Free speech is too free. Look what it's done. It's spreading the rage virus. So I've connected this Disease X with the rage virus from 28 Days Later, which comes from apes. And incidentally, there's a movie called Monkey Man that came out on 3/11, Pandemic Day. And it was produced by Jordan Peele, whose Nope begins with a violent ape. Monkey Man, violent ape. You see the theme here. And Disease X then, and the rage virus, would also then, you could connect it to Project X, which is a movie with Matthew Broderick about experiments on monkeys, apes. Okay, so going through your comments, yeah, primal rage. Exactly, primal rage. But the fact that they played Project X at the same time that all this monkey stuff is being thrown into the public. There was even a monkey loose in Ohio. And then Chimp Crazy gets out on HBO. So think about these common denominators here. Crazy, chimp, bad, monkey, rage, virus, Disease X, Project X. It's all adding up. And you can throw into this, I guess, Elon Musk's Neuralink, where they're abusing apes, which is a common theme in all of these various movies. And then recently we had the release of Planet of the King, Return to Planet of the Apes. And there's a Stephen King ape movie coming out next year. And then at the Paris Olympics, you had an opening scene with a damaged Statue of Liberty. And it's a scene from, or an image taken from, Planet of the Apes, which has some nuke connections we can get into. But I can see this concerted messaging pretty clearly. It's pointing at the right wing. It's pointing at this domestic terrorist threat that's going to rage against the system. And there was a monkey at the Supreme Court that attacked an attorney, attacked a lawyer, bit her leg, and they had no first aid kit inside. So I'm thinking all this rage will be directed at the courts. That's what we're seeing. Okay, let me catch up on your comments. Breadcrumb says, I have a transcription tool. If you want to save time, look up the TP7 recorder. Will do, thank you for that. I use Speech.io, which does transcription, and you can upload and it'll transcribe. It's perfect, actually. It's improved quite a bit. In fact, I used to transcribe the live streams and then post them on a blog just for any kind of searches, certain memes or ideas that would eventually lead back to us. I may reinstate that. In fact, if you go to the ips.monster, the infiniteplainsociety.com website, you can listen and watch the archives, and I do have the transcription there, and you can watch it with closed captioning. Busy56 says, Bad Monkey has a character who's using black magic. One of the main characters has a pet monkey, and she asks for an offering, and he gives her the monkey. Oh, okay. I'm not there yet. I'm close. And when she said she wanted something else from him, I thought she wanted him, so you kind of spoiled it for me. Which is cool. Makes sense. But you're right. I'm thinking, though, there has to be something. It's all about Florida as well. It takes place in the Florida Keys, which may tie into this. Wasn't that movie with Jake Gyllenhaal? I think it was called. It's a remake of Roadhouse. I think that was also in Florida, and his character had the eye wound. He was compared to a storybook character from a western called Waco Wade. The Waco connection to Trump is pretty obvious here. It's a fascinating one. Ties into so much. Like the Burning Man outside of the courthouse, burning on the anniversary of the Waco incineration. Okay, so I'm going to continue to watch Bad Monkey for any kind of predictive capabilities. All right, joined by Symbia, Busy56, Frank Murr, Reverse History. A. Garcia says, 28 days later started with Crazy Apes. Yeah, precisely. And then 28 years later is in production. Ready or Not 31 says, what's good, Tim and chat? Breadcrumb says, great movie. Symbia says, Insider cover looks awesome. Yeah, the cover is everything. And that's likely what I'm going with. And, this isn't my new mic. Somebody trolled me. This is a mic I was using, and I was trolled, so I went back to my old mic. But I kept this one on the other computer because I like the headset. Well, it turns out it's a better mic. It has been this whole time. So some sound gremlin managed to have me use an inferior Logitech over this. That's okay. Symbia says, did you see the monkey statue with the monkeypox and the all-seeing eye? I did see that. It's really creepy. And yeah, there's a statue of this monkey man who's covered in what appears to be monkeypox. And he has an all-seeing eye in his chest. It's right here, easy to find, just demonic monkey. In fact, right now, there's a group of people protesting the 90-foot tall monkey statue. Oh, this one's kind of lewd. I mean, isn't that a misdemeanor? Like, put some shorts on that thing. Put a diaper on it. That's absurd. But yeah, this is and who knows what they did with this thing before they put it out in public. It was probably in some temple somewhere, being worshipped. Frank Murr says, 2025 The Monkey is directed by Oz Perkins, son of Anthony Perkins. Now that's interesting. Anthony Perkins, Psycho, Norman Bates. In fact, I think there's a connection with the name Norman Bates, Bates Motel, and Gregory Bateson, the anthropologist and psychologist who came up with this idea of the origin of schizophrenia not being brain dysfunction, but being some kind of communication malfunction in the household. And the idea here is that the mother pretty much replaced Norm with herself, that he kind of became his mother as he dressed as his mother. But if you look at the name, you got her name is Norma. So Norman or Norman and Norma. Norma is in Norman. And I think it's all encoded. And I watched the series, which is pretty good. And I think it goes deeper into this idea. But again, I think the name Bates refers to Gregory Bateson and his theory about how schizophrenia originates. And I tend to agree with him. And supposedly he was involved in MK Ultra and NLP. So there's all kinds of indicators there that movie might be an inside view into how mind control works. And the second season of Bates Motel begins where Norman is buried underground, like in a casket, or he's locked in a vault. And he has this kind of a reset, and they show monarch butterflies all over the place. There's just tons of symbolism in that whole series. Ready or Not says Monkey Man was an Indian John Wick. King Ravana says Gregory Bateson and Ewan Cameron. Okay, I didn't catch that. I'm looking this up really quick because I was watching. Okay, Donald Cameron, Scottish-born psychiatrist known for his central role in unethical medical experiments. Okay, fascinating. Now, what I'm getting at here is that Dr. Gregory Bateson was married to Margaret Mead, and they pretty much, I think they might have been instrumental in a few things. They were part of the OSS before it became the CIA, and their thing was infiltrating from the bottom up, infiltrating tribes, infiltrating communities. And I think that a lot of what we see when it comes to co-opted culture and shills, as we would call them, plants, a lot of that comes from these individuals. And the mind control aspect of it is also intriguing. But the name Cameron also comes from a movie called Scanners. And Scanners is about, it ties in, it's Cameron Vale. He's a fictional character, but he's the one who comes up with this chemical you give to mothers, expectant mothers, for their children to be born psychic. And there's a number of interesting connotations here, because the name Cameron is connected to the Moonchild ritual and the Babylon working, Marjorie Cameron. So the idea of infusing the child with psychic abilities kind of connects, I think, to the Babylon concept. And the name Cameron is very interesting all around. James Cameron, or Cameron Crowe, director of Vanilla Sky, which had Cameron Diaz, camera on. There's some interesting trails here. Pingu33 says, in Finnish mythology, it is a monkey and a female goat who created the first two people, Frey and Freya. Breadcrumb says, the movie From Beyond does a similar kind of thing. Well, there's some fascinating connections here. Mind control. The mind control subjects in Scanners are kind of like X-Men. Like they get out of control if they don't regulate their own powers, and that's where you get that GIF of the if you searched exploding head GIF, which is what I thought they were. Here it is. And that photographer who had a camera right there poised to get the photo of the bullet passing by Trump's head, he had a shutter speed set to capture something like this, the whole exploding watermelon effect. But this was done psychically in Scanners. Obreek says the Kennedy effect. Yep. Joined by Cupstar over on Twitch. Thanks for joining. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the notes. How two fatal shuttle disasters weighed on NASA's decision to bring Boeing Starliner astronauts home on the SpaceX Dragon. The story here is the Calypso has the astronauts stranded, and the reason why they're not going to let Boeing bring them back down to Earth, and why they're going to ask Elon Musk for help even though they hate him at Boeing, is they thought of the Challenger and the Columbia. It says here, quote, It has affected the decision today by this collective group and all those who participated in the flight test readiness review, Nelson said. It's trying to turn around the culture that led to the loss of the Challenger in Columbia, where obvious mistakes were not brought forth. The Columbia disaster occurred on February 1st, 2003. That was determined to be caused by a piece of foam falling from the external tank. And then the Challenger was in January of 86. A total of 13 deaths. 14, if you believe the story. But one thing I want to point out here, the Columbia was the 113th shuttle launch. The Challenger was the one that exploded famously at 1 minute, 13 seconds. So 113, 113. I found a number of interesting connections here that suggest that these are all immolations and hoaxes. Can't say that to a glurf, they'll cry. Now here's an interesting clip I want to play. This is Andrew Tate talking about his father was in the CIA. And Tate's a LARP and a troll, and all his Tater Tot fans are students of what you could only be called, you could call it groomerology. It's just groomer school. It's disgusting. But I'm going to play this clip where he's talking about how his father was in the CIA. And he was a linguist. And I'm wondering, maybe his father got really high up into the programming class. So it's an alt-right influencer plant, which is typical. These things run in families. But there's no reason to think that Tate would know as much about everything as his father. He would probably be let in on things on a very need-to-know basis. But let me play this clip.
A spy?
My father worked for the CIA. He was a linguist.
What's that?
A linguist. He spoke 5 languages.
You see?
Yeah. And so my father was a native English speaker. He only spoke English, and then they took him into the Air Force. When you join the Air Force, you do a test. He did fantastically in the IQ test. He's top 1 percentile, so they moved him over to a specialized division to learn languages, and he learned Russian, German, Spanish, a bunch of languages.
Did you learn anything about that? Like, did he ever talk to you about it?
He told me that every single thing that you're watching on the news is a lie.
Every single thing that you're watching on the news is a lie. Yeah, including what he's saying. Did we... What said?
I don't believe in chemtrails. I don't let the truth reveal. Just because you saw it on the screen doesn't make it real. I don't take the red